wanted to shoot a quick video just describing how we set up our Ableton computer to control our ProPresenter computer so that we can have Ableton actually fire videos and slides in ProPresenter automatically. We use this, we're going to begin using this for lyric videos and things like that. Instead of having like your standard slides, you can actually run videos that are a lot more dynamic and kind of run themselves. And you can have Ableton fire them so that it's all perfectly in sync. So essentially your videos are synced up to the click track and they can follow the band perfectly. So we're doing that by sending a Midi track in Ableton that sends MIDI data over to ProPresenter that fires specific slides and specific videos. And what's really cool is you can do it the opposite way too. I can have my pre-roll video or something like that actually cause Ableton to start. Or I can make it maybe fire sounds in Ableton. Really, the sky's the limit. Any function in here, you can make control any function in here. So there's a lot of possibilities, but we're just going to focus on using it for something basic like triggering a lyric video to start. And I'll demonstrate that here. So when I call up my song and play it, it's going to automatically fire the video.
Intro, 2, 3, 4.
I got my stage display app here. So as that's going, the video will be perfectly in sync with the tracks.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
And it runs just like that. And the stage display, we can still use that. Obviously the video won't go to the stage display, but we can hide our slides from the main output and have somebody run that stage display while the lyric video plays. So let's go into the detail of how we set all that up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go into detail here about how to set this up properly. And we're going to be using the Mac's built-in Wi-Fi MIDI bus. Pretty much any Apple device has the ability to share MIDI signals via Wi-Fi, but to do it, you actually have to set up a MIDI bus that'll communicate with the other Apple devices. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. I've got my Ableton computer here, and I've got my ProPresenter computer here. So we're going to have to do pretty much the same thing on both of them here. We're going to go up to Spotlight. We're going to type in MIDI here. I've already got that typed in. And Audio Midi Setup will come up. So I'll type in MIDI, I'll hit enter, and it's going to bring up this window. This is pretty much all the physical hardware devices connected to the computer. So to get to what we want, we got to come up to Window and hit Show MIDI Studio. Now, this is a window that it's basically a page where you can configure any device you've ever plugged into your computer that was MIDI capable. So this is everything. The IAC driver is a MIDI bus that allows you to send MIDI devices from program to program on the same computer. But since we're working with two different computers here, I need to go to my network setup, which is right here on OS X Mojave. This is a newer Mac, so I'm on Mojave. The button's going to be right there. And the window looks like that. On an older Mac, you're going to want to do pretty much the same thing. I'm going to come up to Spotlight. I'm going to type in MIDI, go to Audio MIDI Setup. It's going to bring up my window here. I need to go to Window, Show MIDI Studio. And the network pane on this one is actually in the window itself. On Mojave, it's up here. This one actually has this. So I'm going to double click that, and then I have my network setup. And they should look exactly the same on both. So I'm going to come back to my Ableton computer here. And what I need to do is use this window to set up my Wi-Fi MIDI bus. So to do that, I'm going to add a session. It's going to come to My Sessions. I'm going to hit plus. It's going to create this session 1. And I'm going to go ahead and select that and enable it. Under here, you want to say who may connect to me. You want to make sure that says anyone. And then I'm going to route the MIDI data. So this is how you route the in and out of the MIDI. I'm going to say network session 1. Any MIDI signals coming from network session 1 go out to the network, right? And then anything from the network goes back into network session 1, just like that. That's how I'm going to set up my Ableton side. Now the ProPresenter side is a little different. So this is good to go here. I'm going to switch back over to my ProPresenter computer. And I need to, let's see, do the same thing here. I need to add a session. I need to go ahead and select it and enable it. There we go. I need to make sure it says anyone may connect to me. But I'm not going to do anything with the live routings on the ProPresenter side. The reason is if I were to say network session 1 on this one, it would create an endless MIDI data loop where the MIDI would just travel. It would just be sent back and forth in an endless loop, and it wouldn't stop, and it tends to freeze everything up. I learned that one the hard way. So set the routings on the Ableton side, but don't do anything with the Pro Presenter side. And that's the key to success. So actually, after we make sure that it says anyone, we've got that set. This is your Bonjour name. This is the name that shows up on the other computer to connect to it. So I'm going to go ahead and make this one Pro Presenter Mac. And hit enter, and then I'm going to come back over to my Ableton side, and then I'm going to name this one Ableton Mac. Just like that. And you can see Pro Presenter Mac has already showed up. These are all the devices in the directory that are able to be connected to. So you can connect to my iPhone. I can set up controllers with my iPhone or whatever, but this is what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the Mac I want to connect to and hit connect. And then we'll see it right there that we are currently a participant in network session 1. So we are connected. If I come over to my Pro Presenter computer, you'll see that it's indicating that it is now connected to Ableton Mac. So pretty handy. Our MIDI bus is set up. We're good to go. So now we just need to set it all up in software the proper way. So the way I'm going to do that on my Ableton computer, I'm going to come over to Ableton. I'm going to go to my live preferences. And I'm going to come into the MIDI pane, look in MIDI here. These are all the MIDI ports that my computer has, and I need to make sure that it's assigned. My output for network session 1 here, I need to make sure that track is on, right? This is what allows it to send MIDI notes and data or receive them on the input. So if I go to input network session 1, I want to make sure that track is on. Remote is how you control Ableton itself. So if I wanted to send a play command, for instance, from Pro Presenter, I want to make sure remote is on. If I want to send notes, it's track. This is how you send play commands and stuff. So I'm going to turn remote and track on for both of them so that I can both transfer notes and transfer control data for Ableton, because I want Pro Presenter to be able to cause Ableton to play or stop depending on how I set my presentation up. So I'm going to make sure those are on. I'm going to come out of it. And then I have to set up a MIDI track. Now I've already got one here that's labeled Pro Presenter, but if I want to add one, I just got to hit, Command Shift T. It creates a MIDI channel. I can name that whatever I want. But since I've already got one, I'll go ahead and work with it. I want to set my input to nothing because I don't need any MIDI data coming into this, but I want to set my output to that network session 1 that we created. And I'm going to leave it on channel 1. Shouldn't need to do much else. You got 16 to choose from. But I'm going to leave it on MIDI channel 1. So now anything coming in from network session 1, no, I'm sorry. This is going to send, sorry, this channel is going to send notes out to network session 1, which since we're connected to my Pro Presenter Mac is then going to send those notes through the bus to the Pro Presenter Mac. All right, so that's how we set all the routing up there. Let me go over to Pro Presenter and show you how to set up the MIDI input on Pro Presenter. So we're going to want to come to Pro Presenter's preferences here. And I'm going to want to enable the MIDI communications module. Under modules, it's this one. Now this is a $100 add-on, but it's well worth it. I don't have it on this computer, so I'm just going to hit demo modules. It's going to show a watermark. That's fine. And it'll enable all the modules. So I'm going to come over to communications. I'm going to add a device. Add a MIDI device right there. All right. So it's going to bring up this window. You can label it whatever you want. I'm going to leave it as a MIDI. But now I need to say, okay, what is this MIDI device getting its signal, its MIDI signal from? So sources, I'm going to make sure session 1 is checked because I want the session 1 MIDI signals to come in. Destinations, that's what is it sending MIDI out to? So I'm going to make sure both of those are connected and enabled. I'm going to hit save, and then I can go ahead and hit connect. So now we're connected to our Wi-Fi MIDI bus, which is transferring and receiving signals from Ableton. Now I come to MIDI setup. I'm going to hit 0 here and hit autofill. That just kind of lines all of the MIDI control channels up based on 0 through whatever. But this basically is a window that shows you what MIDI notes and what MIDI signals control what aspects of ProPresenter, and this is really handy. Say for instance, I wanted to clear all. I wanted to use the clear all function. I wanted Ableton to do that. I would send this note. It's what is it? A D-2. When I send a D-2 from Ableton, it'll clear all in ProPresenter. So you can set it up just as musical notes on the Midi track, and it'll control different aspects of ProPresenter. Since I'm firing lyric videos, I'm going to focus on these three right here. Select a playlist, select an item in that playlist, and then select a slide in that playlist item. This is important to know here. It says the MIDI notes intensity will determine the index of the item from 1 to 127. So basically what that means is the F-1 note selects which playlist you want, or it's the note that like selects a playlist, and depending on the velocity of that note, it'll select different playlists. So playlist number 1 will be selected by an F-1 at velocity 1. If it was an F-1 at velocity 3, it would select the third playlist. So that's how we know what notes we're sending to control what aspects of ProPresenter, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. So we're going to hit OK here. We're already connected, so we're good to go here. Now, I just need to take note of what playlist item and what slide numbers we want to use. Okay, so I'm actually, just to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to slide this to the second spot. So we've got our first playlist, our second item in that playlist, and it's the first slide. So the way that I'm going to set that up in ProPresenter, I'm sorry, the way I'm going to set that up in Ableton is I'm going to create a Midi track and just create a little clip here. And I'm going to write in some notes on it. I'm going to come to the -1 octave, which is right here. I'm going to create an F-1. That F-1 again is going to select which playlist, and I want it to be playlist 1. So I'm going to slide this velocity bar right here, this little red one. There it is. I'm going to slide that all the way down to 1. And you can see it says velocity 1 right in the corner there on the bottom of the bar here. So that F-1 at velocity 1 is going to select the first playlist on ProPresenter right here. That's how that works. Then I'm going to create an F-sharp -1 octave. And I'm going to set the velocity to 2, right? Velocity 2. All right, there it goes. So it says 2 right there. So that velocity 2 is going to select the second item in that playlist that we just selected. All right. Now I'm going to come to here and make a G-1. And this is going to select which slide we want. We want the first slide. So I'm going to take my velocity bar and I'm going to drop it all the way to 1. So we've got first playlist, second item in that playlist, first slide of that item. And that's what those notes determine. So again, we'll come back over to ProPresenter. That's going to be first playlist, second item in that playlist, and first slide. And that's my lyric video right there. Now, I already have this MIDI clip set up in the proper location on my concert, so I'm actually going to kind of zoom in here. This is the one I want, already placed in the right time in the timeline. And that's what's really great. Even if there's latency in the communication between the MIDI signals, you can just slide this clip left or right to adjust and compensate for that latency, so you always know your video is going to come in on the perfect time. Now, I do need to make one adjustment to this. I need to come to my playlist item note, which is that F-sharp -1, and I need to switch that to velocity 2 because it's currently at 1. So I'm actually gonna full screen this guy and pull this up so I get more range. So I just need to make that 2, which can be a little difficult. Yeah, I need some more room on that. Sometimes that's one thing that I don't know how to like type a number in for the velocity. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I just end up having to pull this up so I get more range. So I can actually drag it to the number I want. So now we're at velocity 2. All right, so this clip is good to go, and our buses are routed, our MIDI's routed. I should be able to pull this back down. And now when we start Raise a Hallelujah, the video should work perfectly. So
1, 2, intro, 2, 3, 4.
look at that. Popped right up. So that's how we do it. And that'll fire your lyric video. It'll be perfectly in sync with the track. There it is. So let me stop Ableton real quick. But notice I still have all my other slides here. And the reason I have that is because the stage display is not going to follow the lyric. Obviously, the lyric video is not going to show anything on the stage display. So if we still want to have our next slide and we want our singers to be able to be cued on the stage display, well, obviously I can't select these slides like this as it is because it shows the words on the main output, and that's no good. So what I need to do is I need to come up here to Actions, and it says Show Slide on Stage Display Only. That's Command 0. So what happens is once Ableton fires that lyric video, and I'll do that again real quick so you can see it. I'm just going to roll Ableton back and then play it again. Here we go.
1, 2.
It'll actually reset the video. Watch this.
2, 3, 4.
Perfect. So now my ProPresenter person has to hit Command 0, and then they can trigger their slides, and they'll only show up on the stage display. I can actually go to a real camera here to show you that. So I've got the video playing right here, and I've got the stage display here on the Stage Display app, and I can control the stage display slides, and they won't show up on the main output. So the lyric video is running, and my ProPresenter guy is running for the stage display. Works pretty well. So when I pause this, or when that song ends and the lyric video ends, my ProPresenter guy just has to come over and hit Command 0 to bring the slides back to the main screen, and they'll show up on the main output again. So that's a pretty comprehensive overview of how to set this up step by step. It's actually not that hard once you get around there and play with it. And once you get Ableton all set up properly, it's pretty easy to do, and it runs flawlessly every time as long as your network is good. Always have either a dedicated router or just a really reliable network connection with no, you don't want to use like an enterprise network that has a lot of restrictions on it or guest network stuff. It's best to use a dedicated router for this kind of thing. But yeah, it works pretty flawlessly every time, and that's it. Hope you have good luck figuring it out on your own and using it for your church.